The Cove of Quills. Over 30 years of working in the naval base put food on the table, often at the expense of my sanity. So when tea break came along, I'd take a walk over a bridge, looking down at a slipway. I called this the bridge of possibilities, where I began to dream. The escape from the pressure of work hastened my stride onto a street of imagination, a long, long road flanked by Georgian storehouses. You know, it's funny that every time I take a walk along the street of imagination, I'm presented by all manner of possibilities. For instance, I left the footbridge from the real world one day and entered a sacred place, and was greeted by a flood in my head. The water was rising above the subconscious horizon, allowing my entry into a cove, surrounded by crazy trees that were flexing in differing directions. On the trunk of each wizened tree was a literary face from poetry's past. Though not recognising most of them from their faces, I was startled by their words as they blew towards me on a waft of warm air. "What are you doing here? You don't belong among the literary gods of the Cove of Quills. Begone, pretender, for you're blighted by madness, and your fate is unsure in this place where curious souls torment one another so adroitly." "Who are you?" I said, to which the voice replied, "I am Percy Shelley, and I've seen your type before. Begone, I say." "Well," I replied, I were only curious. I would never compare myself to such a poetic giant as him. Then another voice travelled on the wind at me. "My name is John Keats, and I echo my good friend's advice. For you're trespassing on hallowed ground. There is nothing for you here." "Well, that were very helpful, thanks. What's that name again? John Keats? I shan't be bothering you again. So, where's William Shakespeare?" I asked, half mockingly. At this, there was a collective roar that deafened me to the point that I could barely hear the following words. "Go home, leave now. You have ventured too far, and must never utter that name again. You are not worthy to speak of the sonnet master." Well, blimey, can't get anything right round here. Anyway, my mind wandered to another place at this point. I could not stay among such intimidating company much longer, though I felt I had to. So I remained on the sandy beach, the trees now settled in an uneasy peace. I sat for a while and drifted somewhere, only to be brought back by a lilt so rich of voice. "Hello, my friend. I'm Liam Doolan from County Cork, Ireland. So pleased to make your acquaintance this fine morn." I think Liam had spent some time in Cornwall. I struggled to stand as my legs had gone to sleep, and I wondered what they'd been dreaming about. I looked at this kind yet rugged man in front of me. "Jesus, David, what are you doing in my cove?" "Sure, you're most welcome." Well, I was happy to see my friend Liam, but I was puzzled as to why he thought this was such a welcoming place. So I asked him, to which he replied, "Do you see that face on the tree to your right?" I turned slightly and gazed at the face he'd pointed out. He continued, "That is the great Dylan Thomas, and he is my mentor through the ordinary existence we both left behind. I recommend you read his works and escape as I did. Allow me to introduce you. Dylan, this is David Ratcliffe, a poet who is lost in the darkness and so wishes to escape, as I did." There was a pause that lasted a few eerie moments before a warm wind came towards me as before. "You are a friend of Liam, and therefore I welcome you to the Cove." "Yeah, I'm welcome. But I must ask that you do not anger the grumpy old men of wood over there, and allow your thoughts to drift far from here. My friend Liam came to me when he was much younger, and now he has the tools to create great works of literature and poetry. Take my advice and go back to your life and try it for yourself." Ah, that's good advice. But anyway, there was no time to thank Dylan because a familiar voice came from over my shoulder. "Hello, Ted Hughes here, at 6 o'clock. Dylan is right. Get out there on those moors, around Todmorden and Martham Royd. The hills will speak, and all you need do is breathe. Watch and listen. Then take up your pen and allow the creatures access to your hand." Wow, that's as good as that. "Garbage!" said a rasping female voice that travelled on a rush of cigarette smoke from my right. I turned and saw a plain woman's face on a tree with swaying branches. The next exhale of smoke knocked me to the floor, and I lay there coughing and rubbing my eyes. "You have to squeeze their heart and drain every last drop of blood from it. Lay your head on the block, look your executioner in the eye and tell him, 'You got lousy teeth.'" "Nonsense, woman," said a spectacled face on a tree behind me. Philip Larkin?" "Indeed, it's me. And you'd be foolish to take the advice of Anne Sexton. She's mad, you know. It may be time to take your old toad by the hand." "I don't mean you, Liam." "It's rude to interrupt." "Sorry, Philip." "As I was saying, it may be time to take your old toad down Cemetery Road and get back before you really do meet your executioner." "Shit. Is that time? Thanks, Philip. Thanks all of you, in fact. I'll be back. I'll see you soon." I was both confused and fulfilled, all at the same time, and decided that was quite enough to digest for one day. The wind dropped, and Liam gave me a knowing look before we engaged in a manhug of mutual affection. Don't normally do them. "Farewell, old friend," I said, as I turned towards the footbridge. You know, something happened to me that day. A change had occurred, and I was happier than I could ever have imagined. I go back to that place often, before returning in instalments to my desk, under my toad. You know, Nothing really in the real world challenged me more than the voices that awaited me over the bridge, by the rigging house, and all along Imagination Street.